So here we are on the third turn of the Sword of Rome. After doing the administrative bookkeeping, drawing cards, figuring out Carthage was convinced to make Greece the first player, even though that's really not to Carthage's best interests, given that everyone except the Gauls are willing to ally to fight the Greeks. That seemed a reasonable solution. The Greeks went first, and they picked a new leader, Cleonymus of Sparta. He's pretty good. That one reaction is the biggie. He's able to spend very cheap cards to get things done. He's only got a 1 leadership, which sucks, but you know, you take what you got. After that, the Carthaginians played a 3 card to move their entire stack. It was 9 units into Panormus. There was an interception. Isn't too likely. And I took a 1 for that to happen. The Sacred Band was played, which is a 1-time card. That caused the Greeks to play both Hoplites and Thessalonians, which give them +4 to the die roll. The die roll was pretty much even. The Greeks only had a +1 because of holding the terrain. There's oddly no advantage for defending against a naval invasion. That may be a mistake. Didn't end up mattering this time with those die rolls. With the modifiers from the cards, the Carthaginians ended up taking 3 losses. That was all conducted, probably foolishly, as revolt risk on the Carthaginians. The Greeks probably should have taken that as some advantages in their own cities. They couldn't get anything off the Carthaginians. Anyway, that's largely defeated Carthage's ability to influence things too much. We'll see what the net effect of all that is, but in Italy, however, the Greeks are in all-out retreat as we move into the second round. The Romans went into Naples, Neapolis, and defeated the Spartan. They only had a +1, but they got a significant gain there. Caused only 2 casualties, but that was enough to convert Naples, and it's now a Roman-occupied city. Rome is scary as they start to grow because they increase their ability to build. So everybody's a little leery of all this. Then the Gauls went, and the Romans, after the Gauls activated an army, played Gallic Loss of Heart, forcing the Gauls not to be able to enter anything that was owned by anyone. That's kind of disappointing for the Gauls. They moved down here, however, and then on the Samnite turn were convinced to make an alliance. And they too will join the great anti-Greek alliance. They're going to do some raiding down there. They figure they're far ahead right now. Maybe they can slip in eventually. Trying to go directly against the alliance seems like a way that they might end up causing the Greeks to win. So, and then when the Samnites went, they moved down. They're positioning themselves to attack Tarentum. Rah, rah, rah. Second round here. The Greeks started off and they activated the Volsci, who came down and attacked Vasci. They attacked the Roman. Well, they moved to Terracina, which is was theirs. The Romans intercepted, And after the battle, they were eliminated. The losses were significant, enough to convert both the territory and to reduce their city down to 1 loyalty. And then Carthage went and moved into the Africa-Spain garrison box, fought a battle, lost 2 soldiers, but won the battle and reduced the unrest significantly. They caused 3 losses, reduced unrest twice. Finally, the Romans went and charged after the Greeks and drove them out of Paestum. Losses, I think, were 3-1. Romans were slightly outnumbered. Yeah, 3-1, and that meant 2 conversions, one in the city and the other one, or one in the minor city, whatever. The other one down in Messena, stealing that from the Greeks to be an independent territory. And to conclude that second round, the Gauls swept down to besiege Tarentum. The Etruscan, or Samnites, moved down to, Heraclea? But the Greeks intercepted them there. Actually, they were heading all the way down to Thurii. The Greeks intercepted them there, won a battle on a tide diral, caused 3 losses to their 1, and drove the Samnites back. And using the 2 points gained off of that for political, they regained Messena. So, here at the beginning of the third round of the third turn, the Greeks played their desperate times to allow them to sail over to Kukulan. And the Carthaginians played a response card, but quinqueremes were played to allow the naval move to be successful regardless. So now we have a Greek army in Africa, and Carthage may or may not be able to respond. Carthage was unable to do anything. They just basically had to discard a card. They built a mercenary, but that doesn't do them any good. The Romans marched down to Heraclea and had a battle again with Cleodemus. They defeated him, killed 3 of his units at no loss of their own, and took Heraclea itself. That makes it easier for them to capture Thurii, if that's the case later. And they also reduced Rhegium's loyalty. Then the Gauls followed up by playing the tribute card, which meant that the city that they were sieging paid them off, gave them 4 plunder markers, 3 for the loyalty or siege level of the city. Oh no, that's a lie. Shit. Okay, I cheated. So that would have that's not the siege level, that's the loyalty. The siege level was the counter on top of it. And I forgot one. So let's see. It was at 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was at 2. So then it went to 3 from that, and 4 for a follow-up. I thought that was a better card than it is. Okay, so then they plundered Vretum, but I thought they were going to jump in the lead in victory points, and they did not. Oh well. Anyway, on to the Samnites. So now after 4, beating of the 5th, what do we have happen? The Romans, the Carthaginians did nothing. The Romans continued their pressure while the Greeks converted the city. The Romans continued their pressure down and have taken Thurii and wiped out the Greek army. The Gauls, oh shit, I haven't finished yet. I still got the Samnites. The Gauls marched into Naples across Paestum. They raided Paestum and got themselves a victory point off the last plunder marker that they had, so they're back up to the 9 points. They still need 2 to win, and they started a siege here, which may or may not work. Unlikely, because they're only Gauls. Alright, and the last time around the track, the Greeks actually moved into Carthage, and then they actually, after failing at their first siege, they played a Desperate Times card, and grabbed another shot at a siege. Now they're out of Desperate Times, but they're figuring they have one chance to win, which is this turn. And if they can't manage it, they're going to start losing victory points, the way the coalitions are set up. Carthage had nothing they could do. The Romans moved forward into Rhegium, laid siege. The Gauls succeeded in their siege of Napoli, got an additional victory point. They are 1 point away from winning at this point. However, that's for this turn, and they have no other way to make victory points unless they were to play a Desperate Times card, which they do not want to do. Who else? The Samnites, they continued their siege and got it up most of the way there. They've actually got a chance of taking Tarentum. Alright, now we're going to go to the end of the turn sequence, and I'll come back to you after that. It may be the game's over. It's unlikely, though. I counted the points. I don't think the Greeks can get more than 1 point, even if they... Well, we'll see how the luck goes. So I haven't dropped reinforcements on the board, but this is where the victory points lie at the end of the turn. What happened? The Gauls, of course, could not gain any more, but... And this is weird from my reading of the rules, though. It looks like they were still sieging Naples, even though they ended up getting their plunder. So they're still in a 0 siege position. They had a roll against the attrition table. They lived, and then they got a roll on the siege table with their penalty for being Gauls, and they managed to capture it. So now they actually own it, as well as having plundered it, which kind of makes sense that you could plunder something and end up owning it afterwards. Anyway, that's vaguely cool, I guess. The Romans ended up taking Rhegium. Now, they gained a couple of points this turn because they got Thurii, Rhegium, they've got Tarquini, but they had lost Velitrae to the Samnites. The Samnites, oops. I gained a bunch of points with the Samnites, but that's not right. They should actually be 3 below that, because they're so hosed. I forgot about their Etruscans. The Samnites gained a point for Velitrae, but that's... On the negative side, they lost 3 points for the Etruscans, and I forgot about that. And the Carthaginians are down to 0. They actually would have been in negative if that was allowable. So, and this is kind of the game is guaranteed to end because because eventually victory points are being created as long as someone is falling into negatives because they can't go that far. Anyway, I don't know how big a deal that is. So yeah, I'm going to drop reinforcements on the board and then we'll move on to the 4th turn. But I'm going to load this one up because that's about all that's of any interest. Placement of the reinforcements isn't really an exciting thing.